do a lot of things that most people can't.
It's an out-of-body experience.
Being different is good. You kind of want to stick out sometimes.
It might only happen once in his life.
I'm a genetic freak.
The moment you think that you can control nature, you're wrong.
100 years ago, Robert Ripley went on a quest to the farthest reaches of the globe in search of the extraordinary and unusual. Today, the adventure continues, searching for the world's most bizarre, astonishing secrets. On Ripley's. Believe it or not. Some say there's a natural order to the living world. But look closer and you'll see strange quirks and unbelievable truths hiding in plain sight. I'm Bruce Campbell, and these are the stories that break the rules of everything we thought possible.
I am known throughout the world as the Hammerhead.
John Ferraro should have a headache 24/7. But he doesn't take the pain, he doles it out. True to his nickname, John the Hammerhead Ferraro is as hard-headed as they come. But today, he's testing his skull like never before, battling fire, a cinder block, and a bowling ball strike all in one. Believe it or not.
A lot of people ask me, is he a little crazy in real life? And I say, no, he's not a little crazy.
Strike two!
He's a lot crazy.
I love to see people cringe. I just like to excite people.
The Hammerhead, I'll tell you, that name, it suits him. It suits him real well.
I earned that name by having one of the hardest and strongest skulls in the world. I'm a performing strongman and a genetic freak. I'm a cranium-crashing, brain-bashing, skull-smashing son of a bitch from Boston.
John first discovered his ability by accident when he was a kid.
I didn't realize how hard my skull was until I actually got in a confrontation with my younger brother, and he slammed the door on me. I went head first through the door, ripped it off its hinges, and cracked it in half. And then I realized, wow, I do have a super tough skull.
Turns out, Hammerhead isn't just a nickname. John really does have a thick skull.
I've been MRI'd at the Harvard Medical School in Boston, and I have one of the thickest skulls on the planet.
The average skull thickness for men is 6.5 millimeters, about 1/4 of an inch. Women's skulls are slightly thicker, 7.1 millimeters. The MRI scan revealed that John's skull is 16 millimeters, more than twice the average. No wonder he found his way onto the independent wrestling circuit.
Get low, get low. Oh, it's Hammerhead.
What's up, what's up? Bo Douglas has been a friend of mine for many years. He owns a professional wrestling school. He's a great professional wrestler, a great trainer.
I have felt that head against mine, and it's probably the hardest thing that I've ever taken to the head.
I'm going to bend this. What'd you say, about 5/8?
I don't know. I don't know if you could do that one. What the?
You know what? I give it to him. The man that can bend that steel over his head is awesome.
There we go. There we go. Don't kill the ref.
I'm disgusted and horrified and impressed at the same time.
After a hard-fought career, Hammerhead decided it was time for a new challenge. and went looking to the past for inspiration.
This right here is Billy Wells. He had over 40 blocks and rocks broken over his skull in one day. Then also there's Andrew Hull, the man with the iron skull. He's another one of my favorites. This guy actually had a 300-pound boulder smashed over his head with a sledgehammer.
And then there was Sigmund Breitbart, a blacksmith from Poland who rose to fame in the early 1900s, bending iron bars, biting through chains, even letting horses walk all over him. But John set out to best them all.
A lot of the things that I do are extremely, extremely dangerous, and I wouldn't recommend them for anybody. I concentrated on bending spikes, having cement broken over my skull, breaking 2x4s. And it was good, but then I started doing more extreme feats of strength.
Though John has built a successful career on the strength of his skull, he could soon end up shattering both. Attempting his most dangerous feat yet, John will support 2 flaming concrete patio stones on his head, weighing 30 pounds, while enduring a direct strike with a bowling ball.
If he misses the mark, I could be permanently damaged. Not a lot of people can have a 12-pound bowling ball drop 10 feet in the air on top of their skull and walk away from that.
Okay, go!
I personally don't know how he's still walking today.
I love to perform, and I always get the job done. That's what makes me happy. That's what makes me feel good. That's what relieves stress. That, my friend, that's gold.
John Ferraro is known for his hard-hitting skull, but this next man uses a gentler touch to face an airborne army that could kill him in minutes. Now that's an army of darkness. And I didn't write that.
Oh, there's the queen. Let me grab her before she flies.
This man is on a constant quest for his perfect queen.
Queen kiss. I'm Luis Slayton. I'm from Donna, Texas, and I rescue bees.
Some would say his method is madness.
I'm able to go into a beehive and just take them out, relocate them without a bee suit.
Now Louise is taking us inside the hive, where he'll wear the bees all over his face. Believe it or not.
It's an out-of-body experience. There's really no words, but Zen, Nirvana.
I go to my happy place.
I'm like the Pied Piper. I play my flute, and they go into the box. I respect them, they respect me. They don't sting me to death because they know that I'm helping them out.
Be smart. Be safe. We're strong.
A fascination with bees runs deep in Louise's blood.
Beekeeping is a generational trade that has been passed down from our great-grandfather to my grandfather to us now. My great-grandfather was from a small town in Doctor Arroyo, located in Mexico, where he kept bees, and he used to manufacture wax candles out of the bees' wax to light the township. My grandfather passed this knowledge on to me, and I'm gonna pass this knowledge on to my kids and their kids. Grab it with both hands, good job. See the queens right there. The best piece of advice my grandfather had given to me was just when you think you know everything about bees, you don't.
Bees and humans have a long shared history, dating back to ancient Egypt, where jars of honey were found in the pharaohs' tombs. Since then, many cultures have kept bee colonies, harvesting honey, pollen, and royal jelly from their hives. But bees give us far more than that. As the world's most essential pollinator of food crops, they are critical to human survival. But that doesn't mean you want them in your house. Time to call Louise.
On here, I tell folks out of 10 households, there'll be 3 houses with a beehive that goes unnoticed.
Louise is on a mission to collect and domesticate as many feral bees as he can, in an effort to preserve the species and our fragile food supply, one hive at a time.
What makes me different from other beekeepers is the bare hand approach that I take to removing these nuisance beehives. The more humanistic approach that I have, where you're one with the hive, where you're actually not wearing gloves. You smoke them a little bit. The smoke pacifies the bees and lets me work with them. I start by cutting the comb out, putting that comb into a box, rubber banding that comb. The comb are the babies. For the most part, the bees are gonna follow the babies, they're gonna follow the queen bee. So if I got both of them, the babies and the queen bee, I'm setting myself up for success. Once the queen bee is in the box, I put her in the cage, I kiss her, put her in the box, and then we wait for the magic to happen. All the bees go to the box.
Louise has spent years perfecting this technique. Now, he's taking it a step further, wearing his bees on his face.
Bee wearing is very dangerous. You can die of multiple stings and certain complications that can arise along the way.
He's gonna put, I don't know how many bees on top of his body. That makes me nervous. I'm sorry. I'm nervous right now.
You're playing with nature, and nature has its own way of being. And the moment you think that you can control nature, you're wrong.
In an effort to bring attention to the plight of his beloved insects, Louise is training to break the world record for most bees worn on the body. But with 250,000 stingers within firing range, one wrong move could cost Louise his life.
It's a head-to-head, sexy combat.
No soy un fenómeno, soy una persona.
Most of us will swat one bee if it gets too close. What happens if you're surrounded by 250,000? For a Texan named Louise Slayton, the answer is take off all your clothes and kiss the queen.
When I put them on my body, in essence, what I'm doing is I'm doing an artificial swarm. I'm making them swarm into my face. I take the queen out of the box, I put her in my face, or I put her in my designated part of my body that I want them to follow, and just let the magic happen. And just stand there and you just let them fly. There's a little growling noise that they make. They're gnawing at your skin. When I'm doing the bee wear, I'm dealing with a wild animal, and I'm not just dealing with one wild animal. Once you start, you can't stop. I think they understand me and I understand them, and I know that the moment that I take them for granted, they'll remind me, and it's a humbling experience to get stung by them. They keep you humble.
Louise gets stung a lot, and it is toxic. For a man his size, anything up to around 1,500 stings is survivable. Beyond that, he could go into shock. And without immediate medical treatment, Louise could die. But as long as Louise treats the queen with respect, and as long as his assistant keeps the smoke flowing to keep the bees calm, he should get away with just a few hundred stings. But if one wrong move sets the bees off, the swarm will quickly end his life.
I'm becoming one with the bees. Just knowing that you have all them beings around you, it's nirvana. It's an out-of-body experience. I no longer feel the stings, and it's like I'm somebody else, and I'm looking from the outside in. What started off as being a hobby passion ended up just taking over my life. I'm living the American dream.
Luis has an uncanny way with bees, but the fact remains, nature can be unpredictable. Sometimes it throws a curveball and produces something or someone truly extraordinary.
My name is Chuy. They call me the Wolfman.
Chuy Fajardo and his family are in for their monthly haircuts. But there is only so much a barber can do for them. That's because they grow hair on almost every surface. Believe it or not. Jesus Chuy Fajardo Aceves was born with thick hair covering the face. It's an inherited genetic disorder called hypertrichosis, and it is so rare that there are only 50 documented cases in the world, most of them close relatives.
We do activities like any person.
The Aceves family can trace the condition back almost 400 years. It's believed they're related to Petrus Gonçalves, a 16th century Spaniard said to have inspired the famous tale Beauty and the Beast.
Like in that film, people judge me without really knowing me.
The wolf boy will now attempt to walk all 5 swords for the walk of death.
I think they're sexy, I think they're sensual.
The male duck penis is actually corkscrew shaped.
Mother Nature always seems to have some tricks up her sleeve. Genetic anomalies that have to be seen to be believed. Or not.
Ladies and gentlemen, the wolf boy will now attempt to walk all 5 swords.
I started at 12 years old. It was the only way to earn a little more money and support my mom that way.
Aceves family patriarch, Chuy, has found a way to turn his difference into an advantage.
I have worked in many circuses in many places, presenting myself as Chuy the werewolf. My life in the circus has sometimes been very beautiful. I am not a freak. I am a person with a different condition.
Not every member of the family is as hairy as Chuy, and not all of them accepted their hairiness at first.
I have already taken it off, and I did not like the way it looked afterwards. So I decided it was better to be as I am.
She looks beautiful, And inside, she's also beautiful.
My daughter is happy. She gets along at the school, with teachers, with friends.
At school, I'm doing well. All my classmates, we play. We all play.
The family still battles prejudice, but following Chewy's example, they refuse to hide. While Chewy has traveled the world trying to support the family, his sister Lilia runs a grocery store in Aguascalientes.
It's a business where several people in the family work. I think it's a way for people to know us and treat us like people.
I think that Chewy is a brave person. His work, since people know him, they have accepted us as we are.
When I grow up, I want to be a doctor and cure people.
Even with so many researchers digging into the secrets of the natural world, there's so much we don't know, and so much you can't believe is real. Case in point, what goes on behind the scenes when it's time for animals to reproduce? Evolution has graced the animal kingdom with some downright baffling adaptations in the mating department. Wild animal sex can be like a house of horrors. Body parts you've never imagined. Tangled mates trying to punch through each other's guts. An eager male dissolved into a brainless sex organ. Just some of the 5 most bizarre sex strategies in the animal kingdom. Believe it or not.
I'm a biology professor at the University of Texas in Austin, and I focus on behavior, evolution of animal communication, and the brain.
Every species on the planet is driven to reproduce, but males and females come at it from different angles.
Sperm, it's a small little cell. You can make millions at a time. Eggs are much bigger. Females have to shunt a lot of resources into producing big, juicy eggs. So males want to mate often, females want to mate less.
This means males usually have the wildest behaviors and weirdest body parts.
Males are trying to get the attention of females. They're really showy. They spin around and they flash and they do a dance.
But of all these mating rituals, there are a handful that top the list of most bizarre. The lyrebird sings and flashes his feathers to attract females, but it serenades desired mates in a very unusual way.
Lyrebird male. He can mimic not only the sounds of other lyrebirds or other bird species, but man-made noises, car alarms, chainsaws. So this little syrinx in his little bird throat is capable of mimicking things that are not natural almost perfectly.
And then there's your everyday duck, and a battle of the sexes playing out just under the surface. Number 4, duck anatomy.
The male duck penis is actually corkscrew shaped. And interestingly, the female vaginal tract, it goes the opposite way. She actually can impede the progress of unwanted sexual attempts.
Male sage grouse have evolved their own strange anatomy for wooing the ladies. Number 3, bulbous chest sacs.
The sage grouse, they have these air sacs that are actually just extensions of their esophagus. They'll bounce them around, and they make all bizarre types of sounds, from clicks and whistle and pops and coos, and some sounds that we can't even hear because they're subsonic. Really intense male-male competition. It's a head-to-head, sexy combat.
All flatworms have male and female sexual parts. Any individual flatworm can act as either a male or a female, but they fight about it. Number 2, the dagger battle.
All of these flatworms have both male and female parts. These white areas right here, they're called daggers. They actually punch a slight hole through the body cavity of the other flatworm and transfer sperm. Each one's trying to play the role of the male. Whoever is successful first got to play the male role. You get a bigger bang for your buck when you use your sperm.
Suitors vying for the same mate can battle in spectacular fashion. But believe me, this next fella has a much more shocking conflict and a sexual strategy so strange, it could become the stuff of your nightmares. The natural world can be just plain weird, as biologist Dr. Molly Cummings knows well. She's counting down some of the oddest mating rituals of the animal kingdom. Someone's got to. We have already seen some pretty bizarre hookups, from fencing flatworms and curly duck penises to masterful mimics and puffy chest sacs. Now for our number 1.
Anglerfish live very deep in the ocean, maybe 1,000 meters deep. And down there, it's incredibly dark. It's huge, very spacious. There's no way you can predict where you might run into a member of the opposite sex. What looks like an appendage is actually a male of the same species. There's anglerfish who never encounter another one of their own kind for their entire lives. He is completely wired to maximize that opportunity. It might only happen once in his life.
The male bites into the female's flesh, and the two animals fuse together, his bloodstream connecting to hers. His organs all dissolve, except for his testes. He'll get all his nutrients and oxygen from her blood. That blood also delivers hormones that signal when she releases her eggs. This triggers what is left of, quote, him to release sperm into the water at the same time.
And he becomes this testicle appendage to the female for the rest of his life.
Even in the alien world of the deep ocean, it is super strange. Okay, is it over? Some things in life you just can't unsee. Other things you can't take your eyes off of, like this woman. She wins, hands down. Ayanna Williams considers herself an artist, but her work is so unusual, it draws stares wherever she goes.
What do you do in the bathroom?
Same thing you do. You just take it and go like this. My name is Ayanna Williams. I have the world's record for the longest nails on a pair of hands for a female.
Retired manicurist Ayanna Williams has been growing out her nails for 26 years. Her babies require more attention than a lot of real children. And not only do they dominate her lifestyle, they could be reshaping her body itself. Believe it. Or not. Ayanna's nails range from 27 to 36 inches long, each, for a sum total in excess of 20 feet, the height of an adult giraffe. They are her crowning glory.
Growing my nails, it's a passion. My nails are still growing. As a matter of fact, they seem to be growing faster now that they're longer.
Can you dig it? Ayanna's fascination with long nails began at an early age.
As a child, I saw my mother grow her nails. Of course, they were nothing extreme like this. It was a challenge to myself to grow my nails. One day I woke up and here they are. I think they're sexy, I think they're sensual, and they make you different. When I paint my nails, usually it takes me maybe about a week. If I painted my nails with nail polish, I would need at least 2 bottles. And that's gonna only do 1 coat. So probably need about 4. But I use acrylic paint now. It's much faster.
Ayanna has captured the record for longest nails on a female, but the overall record remains out of reach.
I know of a man who grew his nails for 66 years. I have to give him his props for being brave enough to even grow his nails to those lengths.
Sridhar Chilal from India won the record for longest nails on one hand, 5 nails reaching 30 feet. In 2018, he made a special trip to the US to cut the nails off in a Ripley ceremony. Nearly 7 decades of growth gone in a matter of minutes. It had to feel liberating. Still, the damage was done.
If you grow your nails too long, they make your hand deform because of the weight pulling down on the nails.
Just one of the challenges Ayanna faces.
There are so many limitations to having these nails. I have to have someone to help me all the time. Sometimes I can't pull my pants up. I've had them so long, I wonder if my nails are a burden to my family.
I'm happy to help my aunt with anything whenever she asks. I'm right there, best believe it.
I've traveled, I'm in magazines, people know me all around the world, so it's time that I do something else.
Has the time finally come for Ayanna to get out the clippers? After nearly 30 years of growing her nails, Ayanna Williams is toying with a big change.
I'm getting to that point. Cut them off. If someone offered me maybe $25,000 right now, I'll take it.
Until then, she's holding on to her title with both hands.
They're the longest in the world, and I like the attention I get.
I do. I'm with the world record holder right now.
Long live the long nail goddess, the queen of nails, royal hotness. I am that and more. Me, the queen. Don't get it twisted.
Ayanna Williams grew what nature gave her to extraordinary lengths. Nature made this next guy extraordinary right out of the gate.
My name is Jeff Dabe. I'm 55 years old. Do a lot of things that most people can't.
Jeff Dabe was born different.
People are usually afraid of him until they start talking to him, and then they realize he's just a big, gentle giant.
Daily chores come easy to Jeff.
He picks up hay bales and throws them, just like they're little candy bars.
I grew up on a farm with beef cows and pigs, so I could do all the chores. I could pull the calves around. I knew I was a little stronger and bigger than average kids my size. I probably noticed when, I don't know, 3, 4 years old, goof around with the neighbor kids, I could pick stuff up they couldn't. My parents, they sent me down to Rochester. There was like 50, 60 different doctors there trying to figure out what I had or why I had it. They did a bunch of tests and studies, and they never did come up with any conclusions. It's a gift to me.
Wherever he goes, Jeff gets a lot of stares.
When I first saw Jeff, I was overwhelmed with his size and everything.
At 5'9", Jeff is the height of your average American male. So much else is off the charts.
His hands are just humongous.
The average hand size measured across the knuckles is 3.56 inches for males. Jeff's is 7.4 inches, more than double the size.
He just makes everybody look like a child, you know, when they compare hands.
The average size of a man's wedding ring? 8. Jeff dons one the size of a bracelet.
I did have a custom wedding ring made, which is a size 30. A quarter being like a normal size ring.
While Jeff makes his living with heavy machinery, he does have a sideline that puts his unique features to work.
My senior year in high school, we're doing arm wrestling. I ended up beating all the kids. I also beat the adults, and I liked it. It just kind of kept growing from there.
In the early 90s, Jeff turned pro and rose to the sport's top ranks. But in the late 90s, in the midst of a tough matchup, he felt something pop in his right elbow.
I don't know what went, but that's as far as I can straighten it now. So I just leave it alone and keep pulling with the left.
He's just been going crazy, just smoking everybody.
The average male forearm circumference is 24.2 centimeters. Jeff, who's never lifted weights, has forearms that measure 50.8 centimeters. That's 19 inches, almost as big around as the average human head.
Right now I hold a North American Championship belt out of Canada. I just won a 4-way super match out in California for the UAL. I just also won nationals in Michigan. So I guess I'm holding my own right now. Well, I've had the nickname Popeye since high school. It's all right, I don't mind. It's a good nickname to have.
Jeff found a way to turn his appendages into assets. The same goes for a natural-born wonder in Florida. She isn't bowing down to anyone because she's a tall drink of water. Jeff Dabe, the real-life Popeye, is perfectly suited to tossing hay bales and burning up the arm wrestling circuit. But when nature makes you different, it's not always so easy to find your niche. This 25-year-old was born into a family of giants.
My mom is 6'1". My dad's 6'2", but where it gets really tall is my grandpa was 6'8". Now my younger cousin is taller than I am. My name is Holly Burt. I stand at 6'5".
It's not her height alone that makes her so special.
And I'm the female with the longest legs in America. My legs are 49.5 inches. There wasn't really a point in my life where I wasn't tall. I mean, even out of the womb, I think I was 25 inches. I grew up in Jacksonville, Florida. It was a really small beach town. When I hit first grade, I was taller than my first grade teacher. I was never picked for the high school dance just because I was a little bit taller. Oh no, sorry, hold on. A lot taller. All right. Kids are mean, and it really hurts sometimes. Walking past a teenager and hearing them whisper, it sucked. There'll be days where I would just go home and just wish I was normal.
And then Holly found the one place where she could blend in.
The turning point from not really liking my height to the point where I really embrace it is definitely when I moved to New York City. Just seeing that there's so many different walks of life and getting out of that really small town bubble, it really felt great. I get asked probably 15 times, 20 times every day about how tall I am.
Holly's legs alone are over 4 feet long, the same height as the average 8-year-old. It was not just the big city life that comforted her. In 2016, she was signed to a modeling contract.
Mainly it's just for tall girl apparel companies. So anything from athletic wear to your normal everyday wear.
Okay, shuffle. Okay.
Speaking for all the tall girls out there, if you're feeling down, like if you're in middle school, elementary school, it's only gonna get better. Being different is good. You kind of want to stick out sometimes. Feels pretty empowering.
There is an order to nature, but rules are made to be broken. And those who push past the boundaries make the world a weirdly entertaining place.